Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Today's episode is brought to you by SalesCred Pro, the strategic resource for B2B sales that fortifies your credibility and accelerates the trust building needed for building successful business relationships. Get your free 7-day trial now at salescred.com/pro. Welcome to the Manage Smarter podcast with hosts C. Lee Smith and Audrey Strong. We're glad you're here for discussions on new ways to manage smarter, hire, develop, and retain talent, improve results, and propel team performance to new heights. This is the Manage Smarter podcast.
Today we're going to talk about cultural realignment and a whole host of other things because our guest today is amazing. But some of the reasons, Lee, I was looking this up, the latest reasons that you would want to do a cultural alignment, strategic goal changes, negative culture and complaining, changes you're making across the organization and process, performance improvement. There's a whole other bunch of reasons Salvatore is going to tell us as well. But we've never talked about this.
It is one of those areas where you really don't want to change anything that's not broken, right? So clearly, if you feel like something's not quite right, something's off, or, it could be that you're a little bit behind the times. It might be time basically to freshen up and update the way you and your team think about things. That's a good reason too. So I can't wait to hear from our guest today.
I know, I'm excited he's here. So welcome to Manage Smarter, everyone. We're actually really glad, listeners, that you are here as well. My name is Audrey Strong. I'm the Senior Vice President of Communications here at Sales Fuel.
And I'm C. Lee Smith. I'm the founder and CEO of Sales Fuel.
We're lucky to have Salvatore Manzi in the house today. He is a leadership communications coach with more than 20 years of experience helping inclusive change makers amplify their influence and impact with emphasis on frameworks, principles, and techniques. Salvatore empowers thought leaders to connect authentically and navigate high-stakes engagements with confidence. On a mission to create a world of acceptance, Salvatore began working on DEI back in 2014 before it became really like part of the big cultural lexicon. He co-founded a 28-person DEI leadership collective and has designed and led programs for international organizations, including the World Economic Forum. Salvatore, wow. You have a big playing field, sir.
It's been a wild ride. Thank you. It's great to be on with you both.
Okay, so among the other reasons, what is your definition of cultural realignment, and what other reasons should we do it beyond the ones we just kind of threw out there?
There are a lot of, I like the way Lee pointed out, there's oftentimes an outside influence. The market, something has shifted and now we've got to realign. Sometimes there's a merger, right? And
that's tough.
Two cultures coming together requires a great deal of, realignment. And sometimes it's just, like you said, there's people working in silos. Famous example of Microsoft, it was all silo and competitive, and then they switched to collaborative and team working. So those are many, I kind of like to frame it in the terms of when an organization is just starting, they're just creating their very first template for their culture. That's a blank slate. Like if you imagine that's the frame of mind that a lot of organizations have to get to reframe and realign from that level. I think of organizational or cultural realignment as an foundational realignment. It starts with the values, and then you got to look at the norms and behaviors and roll out a whole new process for it.
I find that it really starts with the founder. All right. So it's like the culture starts and begins with that. And then when the founder adds a couple other people, it's impacted by that. And it just seems like the bigger and bigger you get, or let's say the founder is no longer part of the organization through a sell-off or whatever the case may be, that chunk of it, that bedrock, if you will, is gone or withered away in importance, I would think. So that would be a good time to basically reassess, reanalyze, and perhaps make some changes based on the holistic whole of the company, or at least the biggest influencers, if you will, of the company, rather than looking backwards to, okay, this is who we were when we started X number of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And it is pivotal, the leadership team. It depends on how your leadership team, how on board they are. I mean, it just really takes one bad apple or one person on the team that's not 100% bought in, and you've got rot. It's like
I've lived it.
tell me about that.
No.
Without naming names. No. Well,
Yeah, no,
do you recommend like in changes with your clients that, I mean, if you're trying to make a cultural change that is so far from where you are, and almost 100% of your people are going like, well, we've never done that before, and it's not the way we do things around here. Like, is there a percentage of change, or I don't even know how you
no.
would measure it, but
Yeah, that's an
it
interesting
works
approach to it.
better. Yeah.
I've not done that. There's three myths, right? There's three
Okay.
myths to cultural realignment. The first one is that we can roll this out at a town hall meeting. We just got to tell everyone, right? Like a lot of people think like, hey, we came up with it. Here it is. Let's do it. Let's kick
Here's
back
our
to
binder and our PowerPoint presentation.
right. And like coupled with that is the marketing department got a hold of it, created a whole brand strategy, and they rolled that brand out, and everybody's seen the brand, and so we're good, right? No, that does not work that way. It might
Audrey can
work,
tell you that.
that might work out in the marketplace. You can create it, but it's not going to work inside. And the third is that, oh, this can be done in 90 days.
You let Lee's laugh. You're
Oh my
killing it.
God. We're talking years. We're talking years.
Right. Like 18 to 36 months to do a brand to do a cultural realignment is what's required. But to your point, there are always going to be resistance, and there's three types of resistance. You know, you've got the people that are confused. Why are we doing this? What is it? What are we changing? I don't get it. They need more information. There needs to be more focus groups. There needs to be more small. There needs to be more actionable steps. It needs to be planned out. You've got the people that are cautious, right? Ah, this is what they're saying. I'm going to wait and watch. I want to see what the leadership does.
Maybe
If
this will
not,
go away just like everything
maybe,
else
yeah.
they've tried to roll out.
Oh, another one, right? I'm just going to bide my time through this, right? And then the third one is you got the confused, you've got the cautious, and you've got the cynical,
Yeah.
right? Right.
C
This is not,
C cubed. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All three of those. So when you're trying to any kind of change, you've got to address all three of those in different strategies.
So go ahead if you want to expand on that.
Well, the confused needs a whole roadmap. They need more explanation.
Mm.
I don't want a slogan on the wall that says, we value collaboration. Like, no, like I need something concrete.
And not a demotivational poster.
Right, please, enough. And it has a kitten on it or something.
Yes, hanging from the tree branch. Yeah.
We need something that actually is actionable, like co-create over update, where you have leaders actually enforcing that. Are you updating me in this, or are we co-creating something here? And when that becomes the shared language, that's when it becomes more, people get less confused. The cautious, the cautious needs to have regular daily habit changing reinforcements. Are we going into each meeting and saying, how did we exemplify our new value system? Somebody give me an example. Oh, let's give an example from this person. They did this. And so people are seeing and getting reinforced. This is what the new value system is that we're trying to
That's a
align.
socialization at that point.
Right. Socialization, top down, start with the leaders. Start with a pilot group and then make sure all of the systems are aligned. Are we still rewarding bad behavior, or do we have rewards set up for the new
And
behavior?
sometimes they're going to suck at it, or they're going to step out of line and revert back to old habits. And so someone needs to call out that behavior in the moment, basically, and get everybody back on track.
Number one detractor to progress of a cultural realignment is like making exceptions. Oh, I get it.
Right.
You used to do it that way.
Yeah.
No, like there needs to be a hard line, and it needs to be an accountability from the top down, 100%.
Hmm.
And then
And
with the cynical, oh, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, what about the cynicals? Because I feel like they're the hardest group
The
to get out of
cynicals,
all three.
I love that they are the hardest group, and they're also my favorite because I always
Okay.
love working with
That's a
the
challenge.
cynical,
Yeah.
right? You got to find the why. You got to find them individually and get them bought into the why. When they understand the why, they'll do it. And here's the problem a lot of times when people roll things out, they explain the how before the why. Adults, we need to know why before we can buy into the how. So it's a matter of sitting down with the cynical and explaining the why. You don't need to target them necessarily, but you can make the why the reason, the messaging that goes out on a regular basis.
How
Interesting.
important is it to communicate this as a realignment or a tweaking or something like that, as opposed to a wholesale, oh God, we need to change our culture and the way we do things around here. I'm thinking it's because basically people are more willing to go along with that or be open to it rather than basically you're saying everything we did yesterday basically is totally offline and wrong, and now today it's right. I mean, it's like so. Which How does that impact basically the adoption of a cultural realignment?
I love what you're touching on here, and I feel like it's part of the challenge of America and our communication right now. Are you fighting against or are you advocating for?
Mhm.
When we communicate with each other and we're communicating about a positive change that we want to have happen, let's not fight against what was happening. Let's talk about what we are advocating towards. And when they bring up what abouts, but what abouts, but what abouts, keep pointing back to what becomes possible. This is where we're heading towards. And you reduce, because if you try to go head to head with what we're fighting against, you're going to get a fight back, and it'll just dig deeper, which we've seen politically in this country.
Oh yeah, and a GPS system in your car never tells you, oh, you were just at the drugstore, and 2 miles ago you just passed a gas station. It never does that. It's always telling you turn right at the next 300 feet.
So
100%.
no town halls, no posters with kittens on them. What way do we properly roll this out then, sir? Yeah.
There's the 4 Ds of a cultural realignment:
Okay.
diagnose, define, deploy, and deepen. A lot of times, diagnose is not spent enough time on. Somebody
Right.
sees an issue and like, hey, let's fix it. No, a diagnose takes time. There needs to be not just an employee survey, which let's face it, we'll get 18 to 25% response. We need focus groups. We need Ask Me Anythings. We need town halls. We need a deep diagnosis of what are the behaviors, because culture is what's happening when no one's watching. Culture
Hmm.
is what's happening in the hallways when no one else is listening. We got to get behind the screen to get the diagnose. Once you've diagnosed, you move into define.
And by the way, I'll just interrupt you just for a second. A big mistake that I see a lot of leaders make, and quite frankly, I was accused of making by my executive coach a few years ago, was we're not curious enough. We try to leap into fixing things before we actually understand what needs to be fixed. And sometimes we just need to ask more questions, and then we need to ask follow-up questions after that, not only to draw people out, but to also get them to buy in. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
100%. And I find that the lack of curiosity comes at the when a person's reaching burnout. I'm not able to reach the
Yeah.
full breadth of my leadership because I'm in go mode. I don't have time for that. So creating that white space, creating debriefs, creating openings for the leaders to unpack, process, and then be fully present re-emerges that curiosity, which is fully necessary to get through diagnostics and through all of it.
So what's
Um,
2D?
Diagnose, then define. Second, you need to sit down. You need a team, you need a strategist who's actually coming up with a plan. Then you need a team that's going to refine and define. Then you need to go through the leadership and make sure that it's exemplified and you have the wording and strategy all correct. You've diagnosed it, you've defined it clearly. Next is deployment, which is 3 phases. First is with the leadership. All leadership has to be on board. They have to start practicing it. They have to start living it, embodying it, being accountable to it. There might be a need for training, but the most important thing is that they have a shared narrative. They're all saying the same thing from the same tone of voice. And that's when you can hear you hear different leaders go around the room. You can hear the one that's not bought in yet. After you've got the leadership, then you got to look at the systems. You have to redo onboarding, hiring, the reward system, promotions. They need to all be aligned with the new cultural realignment. And then third is rolling it out to the employees. And I recommend doing this in phases, a pilot phase to create a champions of it, and then going deeper and deeper. And then it becomes a part of the daily routine from that point on.
Interesting.
Diagnose, define, deploy, and then deepen. And that's where the gold hits. And that's where you create those weekly habits where we sit down as a team and say, how are we aligned? Let's talk about what's working. Repeat the stories often. Talk about the failures as well as the successes.
And
Yeah,
how is in
I like another D, Audrey. I like
oh
demonstrate.
oh
Demonstrate.
yeah,
That is in the deployment. When the leaders are
Okay.
in accountability and coaching and living it, that's the demonstration. But I like that. I may add another D in
there
here.
you
Yeah.
go. I'm going to go to H. So you're supposed to hold the line, be consistent. And how is HR helping you with this, with discipline on the new set of rules? And I mean, if you've got the negative Nelly that just will not get on board, how do you pull the HR people in on this?
Well, HR people should be at the heart of this, quite
Yes.
honestly,
Yeah.
because I think they're often overlooked for the value that they're bringing. Their ears on the ground, and they're going to hear those negative Nellies long before they become a loud problem kind of thing. So they need to be brought on board. They need to be brought in at the leadership level to help and like understand what's happening, see how it's being deployed in the leadership, see how it's being accountability, and then they become the checkpoint for the leader team. Ah, I saw you saying this. I don't see this happening downstream before it's released. And of course, the HR is the one that has to redo all the
Oh
promotions
yeah.
during all of those
Yeah. Yeah.
and the reviews and such. So yeah, HR is critical. Bring them in at the beginning, keep them as an asset all the way through.
Let me back up the truck here for a second. So what are the telltale signs? What are the signals that you need a cultural realignment?
When you see, well, number one, again, like the market influence. I worked with a company that had their George Floyd moment where they
Hmm.
realized that there was a big gap in the way that they were treating inclusion and within their
Mhm.
team, right?
Mhm.
So there's going to be an outside influence. The second is where you have teams disproportionately production. Like one team, there's something completely out of alignment that it can point to there being some sort of silo or there's a problem happening here that the productivity is not a little more uniform across the board. And third is when you are getting those complaints, right? When you have not just one, but you have numerous from different departments complaining about specific things, it's time to take a look at that. And that's when I usually would go and start with a SWOT analysis and then I would then make a recommendation that they hire a specialist in strategy to begin the 4D.
I mean, that sounds like voluntary cultural realignment, whereas the involuntary is something you mentioned earlier, which is mergers and acquisitions. That's thrust upon you. You got to do it. There's no choice.
Right. It's stepchildren, it's step siblings. Like, how are we
Hmm.
going to get
Yeah,
along?
Brady
Yeah,
Bunch.
right.
Yes. So we've got just a couple minutes left. Leah, I'll let you take the last question. And then I hope, Salvatore, you'll tell us about your upcoming book and all
Oh,
that.
cool.
So anyway,
Tell
go
me
ahead,
about
Lee.
feng shui.
Yeah.
Ah,
How
Feng
does that
shui.
factor in here?
Your environment, your work environment is going to influence the way you are performing. So, how is their work environment reinforcing or taking down the values that you're saying? We can't have these values and then have a work environment that's forcing them to not be able to work or feel inspired in that way. So, I always start with that. When I talk about feng shui, I talk about everything around you is influencing the way you think and feel. Everything around you. Like you walk into a room, you feel something from that room.
Oh,
You
you
see
feel an
something.
energy. I was like, if you
Right,
feel
mhm.
gloom and
right,
doom or you feel energy, it's
right,
like at a playoff game at a sporting event or whatever, that sucker's buzzing like minutes before they
right.
even start the game. But, I've
I
been in
had a
some
client.
businesses or whatever, they're really struggling and you just feel the gloom just just fall on you like I don't know, like a jacket of despair.
Yeah, I had a client who they did their realignment and they painted the entire office a different color.
Okay.
It was a visual marker. Everybody was like,
I
that was
love
before,
that.
this is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
So it becomes a visual reminder. We're going in a new direction.
Well, your website is salvatoremanzi.com. And everybody, I'm going to spell it SalvatoreManzi. And tell us about the book.
My book, Clear and Compelling, it's communication strategies for big thinkers with bold ideas. I'm taking 20 years of communication coaching I teach executives how to get up on stage or how to do presentations or how to lead better meetings. And all of my strategies are in this book. It should be out in the next couple of months and available on Amazon.
Sounds good. This has been a really fast, very educational 20 minutes. I love how detailed and precise you are in the lessons and the organization of the knowledge.
You can tell he's
fantastic.
a speaker, right? You can tell he's a speaker. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me with you. It's a great show, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information at salesfuel.com.
Every minute your finance team spends wrestling with data is a minute lost. Insight Software's AI-powered insights instantly move you from complexity to clarity. Automated analysis, real-time reporting, strategic recommendations, all at your fingertips. Transform how your finance team works and watch your business grow. Stop wasting time. Start making smarter decisions. Learn more at insightsoftware.com/AI.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.